I support that.
Okay. How would you like to state it? That we pursue speaking to the city about this issue and pursuing these questions?
Yeah, but it would be, you're talking about writing a letter. Or you're
Either
talking about-
writing a letter or pursuing somehow, if we can do face-to-face, that might work too, but if we can't get face-to-face, we can do some other communications.
So maybe just living it generic as communicating with the city about
I-
concerns.
Could I say as a neighbor, I really love a letter. And with the data questions on it, just the questions, say, please just answer these questions. They don't have to talk to us, and just give us the data. Could I ask for that?
Well, if you really want to go push to shove, you could always do a FOIA request,
A what?
What?
Freedom of Information Act. They are legally required to hand it over.
But they said it would cost me money, and I don't have money.
Well, how much money is it?
Well, you know what,
They don't, that's a constitutional requirement, is they can't make that a barrier.
But also, if they didn't do the studies, which they didn't seem to do, they didn't do any studies about parking on the different streets. They didn't do studies about the rainfall. They didn't have the rainfall amounts. They didn't do studies how much the sewer would cost if they made it bigger. If they don't have information, I mean, when we're seeking it, they haven't even looked at that. Then the Freedom of Information Act wouldn't make sense.
Well, if the data exists,
Right.
that would apply. If it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, and there's nothing to get. So,
Well, it's actually, for me, it's about decision making. In the future, I want them to think carefully. And also the cost to humans, which they didn't imply. My cost to me as a human, what if something happens along the way and I'm parked 3 blocks away from my house? What's the cost to me? My father can barely walk. He can't park in front of my house and visit my house very easily anymore. What is that cost? How do we quantify? They have their costs, but what are the cost to the humans who live there? So that's, and
So we can write a letter.
I guess I think it's fair that the neighborhood association can write a letter requesting information.
Yeah.
It seems like something people come in, we can do that because it uses the neighborhood association's cloud if we have some.
And I would address the specific issue she says. One thing I've learned about the city, because I've done a lot of involvement with the city, is they make up decisions and they do what they want to do. This is the bottom line. It doesn't matter what we say about it, because once the decision is made, it's done. And most people know it happens. The diverter came up. I didn't hear a thing about the diverter, and that's how I got in and out my neighborhood. It's so inconvenient now. And it's still there with them ugly cement things. And I've recommended stuff, and I say, you need to work on the infrastructure in the city for people can be able to get around, be able to park, be able to safely get through their neighborhood. How do you determine and how do you choose what people are going to do? And they really couldn't answer. But I know that Dylan in the taxi business, that they wanted some data one time, and they went down there, and there is a Freedom Act that you have to turn that information over if it's requested of them. So, yes, you can ask for that
yeah.
and get it from them. So.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
Yeah.
Monica, sorry, with the minutes,
Yeah.
you need to write down who motions and who seconds.
Yes.
Just, right, since it's gonna be
We'll
a long
start again to the motion.
two minutes for the last minutes. I just wanna make sure we know it.
And other than the dissenting votes or dissenting arguments, the only thing you have to put in the minutes is the motion.
And you may ask a question.
So Jimmy.
As a board member of a neighborhood, any neighborhood, but a neighborhood, I feel the frustration is out there very loud. You say you've been working on that for a year and a half? How many times you came to the board for support? Is this the first time?
I'll tell you, I didn't think the board would support us.
Well, after
No, I'm
that-
just telling you, I didn't, yeah, it's the first time I came, yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's all. First time.
yeah.
What makes you feel we can help you now?
It just came as an inspiration. I was reading the newsletter, saw Jerry's name, and said, you know what, I'll just text this lady and say, who are you? Well, you're a new board person, let me find out. And, it was fun. We used to meet at the Lorenzen Center, and and Les Perman, he's long gone, all these people. But it just brought back some memories.
Yeah.
That's all. And I thought, you know what? The old lady hasn't started singing yet. Felt like, you know, it never hurts to try. We have tried everything else, and I'll be happy, Jerry and also Jim, to send you that link to where I spoke at City Hall, how they reacted to us. And it's just, we're just trying to have discourse. If it's still our city, let us be part of it. And actually, I tried to help them to communicate with immigrants and refugees. They didn't listen to me. They didn't listen to and they're spending lots of money on stuff that, in fact, I believe they had an interpreter come here when we could have used that interpreter to write written language stuff to get to my neighbors, because my neighbors will not come to a meeting like this. They're just not going to come. I have been trying to communicate with them how to communicate with my neighbors, because we're a special block. And I want to, and one thing that came out too, this is totally off topic, but somebody said maybe in the future these low-income apartments are going to be sold. It's not secure that they're going to remain low income, so just keep that in the future for the future for Elliott. Is there any way to keep those low income? Please keep that in your mind, okay? It's so important to me that we have one street at least that has diversity on it of all kinds of people.
Okay, I'm gonna end with mine quickly. This, Sacramento, between 7th and MLK. You say that's your neighbor, that's our neighbors.
Okay.
We all are neighbors.
Yes.
That's the mindset we have.
Okay.
And if we can help you, we will do our best. I'm sure we will. We got tools or whatever we can utilize to help. And like Aletta is very great. Aletta, Jerry, that's very great in getting the ball on, letting them know that we're concerned. I like more data from you.
Mm-hmm.
I like to know your facts, what you have, so we can have something to work with.
I made copies
We
for
need
you.
something to work with.
And I need the questions, my printer broke tonight, so I'm sorry. I don't have the
Well,
questions.
understand that in closing, we need to, when you're going against the big boys, they're gonna use crossing T's and dotting I's. And they already got the red tape already for you before you speak.
But I don't want to go against them. I want to
We
work
ain't
with
going
them.
against- We
We work with them. They're
Sometimes-
our representatives, right?
What's your name again?
And Casper.
And sometimes we gotta understand that
No.
listening is a key. I mean, who knows all the answers? But I do know this, right is right. And we going at it from right. You know, now, if they're gonna slap you here and there, maybe, but golly, come on, it's causing a havoc in the community.
Well, the good thing is we're gonna be talking about parking eventually anyway.
Yeah,
because
so this
of all
you'll
the
know about our
neighborhoods.
street.
You know, all the new places coming up, so we're all facing that same problem. And we don't even have them things on our street yet, and we got more micro units and stuff coming up, so, yeah. this
And then
neighborhood is
I
getting
also,
busy.
I'll send this to you. It's really interesting because they sent this to me, and I'll pass it around because I can. It doesn't come out in copies very well, but it's the orange. Let me see. The green is the people who actually live there and own it, and the orange are the people who don't live there but own it. And you know what? We don't have a lot of people who actually live and own in Elliott. It's really weird.
You know?
No, look at this. Look at the green. The green is people own it. Orange is people who own it, but they don't live there. So in fact, a neighbor today down the street, she rents at the end of MLK and 7. I said, I'm going to a neighbor's house, you want to come? And she'd never heard that this would be bioswales.
So it's
She
not
never heard.
only
As opposed to
the
owners.
owners.
Right.
Terribly, that's that means.
Oh, I have to say too, Matt Gow, because it went to owners, Matt, and PCRI, who owns the low-income apartments, should have been working. I've been to them. They have a community center. They should have been telling these neighbors for years that this is coming in. They haven't. PCRI needs to be watched too, but also, yeah. So when people rent, all those apartment complexes weren't getting the notices. So Matt and I worked together to make sure they got it. So Matt did that, and I want to say kudos to Matt.
Yeah.
So.
You know, it's tough, a lot of the, the rental owner, kind of thing, because the same with like the leaf day, where I'm on
What
7th,
leaf?
no,
Okay.
the rest of Elliott doesn't get leaf day, but on 7th we get the leaf day. But there's people across the street that rent, and the owner
Yeah.
gets the notification, not the renter. And if
Right.
the owner doesn't tell the renter, then they don't go move their cars, and then the
Yeah.
cars don't get moved, and then the leaves don't get moved.
I signed up for that, I wouldn't even know. When I saw my neighbor
But
pushing
Sue-
leaves out, I
Sue-
pushed them.
So they used to put, actually, the street people used to put, signs on the street the night before and say, move your car.
They can't afford it, the
Oh,
city's budget.
anyway, but they
Looks
used
like
to.
they're even do something, I mean, their budget is
Yeah.
cutting back even their street
And
cleaning
can you
budget.
send me that link?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can send me the information if you have
Oh,
it on.
And the question.
But actually, can I just give this, it's a bunch of, it's a year and a half emails. Can I just give this to you? I just printed them all off for
Oh, all right, okay, so.
you. It's just easy trying to send a bunch of
Yeah.
emails.
We haven't voted.
Right, so we have a vote, is there any more discussion? We have a call for the question. Any other discussion? So all in favor of sending a letter to the city asking for data and, information about what they're planning and some other stuff? All those in favor? Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, passed, so we'll work on that letter.
Thank you, thank you. It never hurts to ask, and they need to know that someone's watching. We are trying to.
Yes.
And I'm not against the big boys, but with them, because we all live together here. They live here too.
Thank you for coming, and for bringing this to us, and, see what we can do together.
That's what we all do, yeah.
This is good timing.
Really?
Planning our year's projects tonight.
Great. And also, would love, my neighbors will not show up at one of these meetings. It
No, I
just won't. I tried. So if I can help be a liaison, as long as I'm living in the neighborhood, because I'm not frustrated yet, because I still love it. If I can be a liaison to the emergency refugees, let me know. Because
Can I
that's,
ask you a question? Do you know anyone in those communities who can be a translator?
absolutely,
Okay, good. Thank you.
absolutely, yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so, the next order of business I have down here